Hello and welcome to this flipped video wherein I'll be talking about group discussion. It happens to be a bone of contention and I'm hoping that towards the end of the video you'll have some clarity as to exactly what you're supposed to be doing in a group discussion. So I have titled this Group Discussion for Future Managers, which of course is you, right? Moving up, the contents of this flipped video, you first and foremost have the opening, wherein I'll be talking about certain myths related to group discussion. In the second portion, I'll be telling you exactly what a GD or a group discussion actually really tests. The third is a business story. That is, I'll be giving you an insight into the Tata Group boardroom. In the fourth section, I'll be discussing the do's of a GD. In the fifth, I'll be walking you through the don'ts. And eventually, of course, we have the closing, right? So as you can see, I'm following Aristotle's Poetics. He had mentioned that any communication which is to be complete needs to have three basic things: an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. So here goes. In the opening, what I'd like to talk about are some common misconceptions with reference to a group discussion. Now, most people feel that if you are to succeed in a group discussion, you have to speak the most. Not done at all. It's not about speaking the most. It's about thinking the clearest, right? So you are supposed to think about a group discussion from a recruiter's perspective, which means recruiters won't ever ask, oh, okay, who is the guy or the girl who spoke the most? They won't be asking about who is the person who spoke the longest. They'd be asking who listened, who structured, who influenced, and who in fact actually moved the group forward. So what a GD or a group discussion really does is it separates the wheat from the chaff. In your placement processes, this is precisely why group discussions are conducted. So when we are talking about you working as a future manager, imagine yourself in a meeting room. So this is a simulation-based activity. Think of it as a simulation in a meeting room. The criteria, of course, over here is going to be how is it that, number one, you process the information. Number two, how exactly do you collaborate under pressure? How is it that you handle disagreement? This is a big issue out there. And whether you think like an individual contributor or a future manager. These happen to be some of the assessment criteria that we're talking about. Moving on, we talk about your value addition, which means it's not about you winning an argument. It's about you adding value to the conversation which is going on in that group discussion, aka your future meeting room, right? So when we talk about a business story, the Tata Group boardroom insight, this was one of the meetings which was held in the Tata Group. And what apparently Ratan Tata had said was that it's not the person who happens to be the most loudest with a voice that is heard. In fact, what is understood and whose voice is heard is those that listen carefully, who summarize multiple viewpoints and ask powerful questions to move the discussion in a different direction altogether. So when you're thinking about it from a leadership perspective of the hiring process, it is the candidates who actually connect the ideas and align with the group that stand out rather than the aggressive ones. Beyond that, one of the lessons that you can learn from a group discussion is leadership communication is about clarity and collaboration. It's not about domination. This is the key out there, right? Moving ahead, if we talk about the do's in a group discussion, here they are. Number one, if you are starting the structure, you should open the topic briefly and suggest a framework. That is, what exactly do you want the group to talk about with reference to a particular topic? So do you want it to be looked at from a social perspective, an economic perspective, or a business impact perspective? You're setting the base. Second, of course, if you are speaking, in that particular case, you're not supposed to cut off others' points. You are supposed to add value to it. Say, for example, you could say stuff like, I'd like to extend what Aisha just mentioned. Or you could say something like adding another dimension to that idea. Beyond that, one of your roles should be to bring the GD back to track if it's going off track. Which means when a discussion drifts, you could say something like, we may be moving away from the core issue. Can we refocus on XYZ? Beyond that, summarize. So a short closing summary signals leadership maturity. These are the 4 tips we should bear in mind when you are in for a group discussion. Beyond that, let's also have a look at the don'ts. So number 1, you are not supposed to interrupt aggressively. Remember, it's not about dominating. So managers, they tend to influence, they do not overpower. Second, you're not supposed to repeat points so that you just speak, right? Remember, it's about the quality that you're adding to the discussion. It's not about the quantity. And you don't want to be a parrot mimicking what somebody else has said, unless, of course, you're adding value to what that person said. In addition to that, you should not at any point dismiss or snub a person's opinion, which means avoid phrases like, "you're wrong," and "that makes no sense." And as you can see, while I'm speaking, I'm using my fingers. So you're not supposed to point fingers while speaking. The person out there who is there for the recruitment of the company that you plan to go in for will be jotting down these minute and fine points. And of course, you're not supposed to stay silent throughout, right? Silence is not a reflection unless it is followed by your insight. So these happen to be some of the do's and some of the don'ts which I have discussed. It's the tip of the iceberg. What we'll be doing is when we meet in class, look at the key takeaways. That is, we are not talking about fluency of English in a group discussion. We are talking about your managerial presence, so which means you could make grammatical flaws. We are talking about the best practices. So what are the best practices? You should speak with purpose, you should listen with intent, and think like somebody who is in the boardroom, right? Not outside of it. And the final thought on a group discussion is this is your leadership opportunity, which means how is it that you can actually transform the group discussion going on into your very own leadership opportunity. So when we meet in class, I'll be talking about the various kinds of group discussions. Meanwhile, you could do your research on what other do's and don'ts are there. Thank you so much.